All right, let's talk about Nuxt. Today, we're diving into how it acts as a blueprint for building really modern, high-performance web apps. If you've ever just felt totally overwhelmed by all the setup and complexity of web development, you're going to want to stick around. This one's for you.
You know, building for the web these days can honestly feel like you're trying to solve a giant puzzle before you even start. There is so much tooling, so many config files, and just tons of boilerplate code you have to get through. It can be a real headache that gets in the way of what you actually want to do, which is build cool stuff.
Well, the folks behind Nuxt have a strong opinion on that, and they think there's a much better way. They've built a framework that puts simplicity and, maybe more importantly, developer experience right at the forefront. It lets you focus on your app, not the setup. So let's see how they actually pull it off.
Okay, our journey from zero to a fully deployed app starts right here. And it begins with a single step that really shows you just how fast you can get up and running with Nuxt.
That's it! Seriously, this one line in your terminal is all you need. It scaffolds out a complete, feature-rich Nuxt project that's already based on best practices. There are no complicated setup wizards or config files to fight with. You just run it and you're ready to go. The whole process is just so straightforward. You run that create command, you cd into the new directory it makes for you, and you start the dev server. And just like that, boom, you have a live, hot reloading environment right there in your browser. It really is that fast.
So, now that we have our project running, let's get to the fun part, building the user interface. Nuxt uses this really smart and intuitive set of conventions to structure all your views. First up is the Pages directory. This is basically the heart and soul of Nuxt file system routing. You just create a Vue file in here, give it a name, and Nuxt automatically creates a URL for it. You never have to touch a router configuration file. It just works.
Then we have the Components directory. This is another one of those little bits of magic. Any component you drop in here is automatically available to use anywhere in your entire app. You don't have to write a single import statement. It just gets rid of so much boilerplate and keeps your code super clean.
And to keep your UI consistent, we have layouts. The best way to think about these is as templates or wrappers for your pages. You can define a default layout, maybe with a header and a footer, and then just wrap all your pages in it. Or you can create totally unique layouts for specific sections of your site.
And here is where it all just clicks. You see it right here. You create a file called about.vue, and you instantly get an add-about route. You create a file with square brackets in the name, like id.vue, and boom, Nuxt creates a dynamic route that can accept a parameter. It's so powerful, it's predictable, and it's incredibly simple.
Okay, a beautiful UI is one thing, but modern apps need data to be useful. So let's look at how Nuxt handles fetching data and managing state, especially in the context of server-side rendering, where pages are built on a server first.
So here's a classic problem you run into with server-side rendering. Your server might fetch some data to build the initial HTML it sends to the browser, but then when your JavaScript loads on the client side, it might accidentally fetch that exact same data all over again. This wastes bandwidth, slows things down, and can cause some really weird flickering in your UI.
Nuxt gives you two main tools to solve this problem beautifully. First, there's useFetch. This is what you use to get the initial data for a page. It runs on the server, and then it cleverly passes that data down to the client, which completely prevents that double fetch. Then you have $fetch, which is a more direct, simple utility. It's perfect for things that happen on the client side, like a user submitting a form or clicking a button.
So, what about sharing data between different components? For that, we have useState. You can think of it like a normal Vue ref, but it's been supercharged for server-side rendering. It makes sure that any state you create on the server actually survives that trip to the browser, keeping your app's state perfectly in sync across the board.
Okay, now for what might be my favorite part. Nuxt isn't just a front-end framework, it's a full-stack beast. And that's all thanks to this integrated server engine that just unlocks a whole new world of possibilities.
Meet Nitro. This is the high-performance server engine that's humming away under the hood of every single Nuxt app. Nitro is the secret sauce that gives Nuxt its incredible deployment flexibility and its powerful back-end capabilities. And on top of all that, it is wicked fast and super lightweight.
And Nitro gives your app some real superpowers. You can deploy it literally anywhere, from a classic node server to serverless functions or even out to the edge. It gives you this fine-grained control over how your pages are rendered, and it lets you build your API endpoints right inside the same project.
And guess what? Building that API is just as easy as building pages. You just create a file inside the server/API directory, and Nitro automatically transforms it into a live API endpoint. It creates this totally seamless, unified workflow where your front end and back end live together in harmony.
Now, this all leads to a really powerful concept called hybrid rendering. Using something called route rules in your config, you can tell Nuxt exactly how to treat each and every part of your site. So for example, you could pre-render your marketing pages as static HTML for lightning-fast loads and great SEO, while your user dashboard is rendered on the server with fresh data. You get total control on a route-by-route basis.
All right, we have built our views, we've managed our data, we've even built a little backend. The final step in this whole journey is to take our amazing application and share it with the world. Let's see how Nuxt makes deployment an absolute breeze.
For a completely static site, the process is almost laughably simple. You run one command, Nuxt generate. Nitro then crawls through your application, pre-rendering every single page into pure static HTML. All you're left with is this simple little output/public directory that's ready to be dropped onto any static hosting provider.
But here's the kicker. You are not limited to static hosting. Thanks to Nuxt's built-in presets, you can build your app to run on pretty much any platform you can imagine. Whether you need a node server, a serverless function, or a cutting-edge environment on the edge, Nuxt can adapt. The flexibility is it's incredible.
So, there you have it. A complete blueprint that takes you all the way from a single command in your terminal to a globally deployed full-stack application. Nuxt is really all about removing the friction and the complexity so you can just focus on creating. So the only real question left is, what will you build?